Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. I'm Trevor Lane. You can find me on Twitter at Trevor_Lane, joined by Kate Smith at Kate Smith NBA. It's Thursday, which means we are just one day shy of Front Office Friday. Don't forget that's coming up tomorrow. Keith, I know we said we're going to do an earlier time. What time was that again for tomorrow?
No, I don't remember now. I remember saying we needed to do it, and I don't even remember. Nope, that this week. No, that's in a couple weeks.
Okay. All I knew was there was something associated with
Yeah,
doing the show early. So tomorrow we'll go live. What do we want to do? Like 1 Eastern, something like that?
yeah, sure, yeah,
All right.
in that range, yeah.
All right. We'll go live right around 1 Eastern time. So join us for that. We'll take your questions and comments live. For today, we've got plenty of topics to get into. Obviously, the playoffs going crazy. What I call, maybe I'm biased, but what I call the biggest story around the NBA for about 12 hours or so was Anthony Davis in the injury situation there. Caught a forearm/elbow from Kevon Looney. But according to Chris Haynes, as well as Dave McMenamin of ESPN, sounds like he is going to play in game 6. So big sigh of relief there, just that you didn't want to hear about concussion and all that kind of stuff that Anthony Davis could have been dealing with. It was a bit scary there when he looked so wobbly trying to get off the court.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime it's a head injury, you get extremely worried, for these guys because not that head injuries aren't extremely dangerous in other sports, but there is like no padding at all for an NBA player. There's no helmet, not that a hat in baseball provides much padding, but yeah, just really just rough for them. So yeah, I think in a spot where he caught a pretty good shot. I saw a little bit of it was a dirty play. I don't think
Looney was trying to do it. I saw a lot of, it wasn't that bad of a shot.
Yeah.
And you don't know with head injury. Like you can have one that looks horrific and the guy's fine, and you can have one where you're like, oh, that wasn't much, and they've got a really bad concussion. Just that's the way. I mean, it's a brain injury. That's the way those things go.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, we've all seen football hits where a guy gets absolutely crunched and hops right up, and then one where he doesn't look all that big and he's down and then out of the game. So yeah, it's one of those things where I'm happy to hear that it sounds like he's doing okay and we'll be back on the floor because you never know with these things, right? Every single guy is different with the way they react to it and all those things, and often there's trouble with lights and just sounds and noise and all that, and that's pretty hard to play a professional basketball game if you're struggling with light and sound and noise. So but yeah, happy to hear he'll be back. I think we'll see. I'm not going to go as far as I think the Warriors figured it all out in game 5 because I don't think so. But I think anytime you're the home team with the chance to close it out in 6, the pressure's actually on you because the other team, they're fighting to save their season. Don't get me wrong, but you really don't want to go back on the road and play a game 7 on the road. That generally does not go very well. So I'm very, very, very curious to see how that one comes out. The Lakers have to have a better start. That's just the reality. I think they kind of sunk themselves the way they played early in that game, and then it was comeback city for the rest of the way. And they're not built super great to come from behind from big deficits. Just they don't play super fast. They don't shoot a ton of shots, from 3 and those kind of things, where that's kind of what you need if you're going to make up those, big deficits. But well, now I mean, quite frankly, I'm excited both those series got extended because you know how I get it this time of year. I start to
more basketball
games, and it's like, oh man, we're getting down to it now. So I'm excited. We got a couple extra ones.
All right, we do have a few players who will not be playing this. I mean, big for the Phoenix Suns. I mean, literally big. DeAndre Ayton is out. He's dealing with a rib contusion. Chris Paul out, still dealing with that groin issue. So now on the other side, Jamal Murray suddenly questionable with a non-COVID illness.
Yeah.
So I don't know. When the first injury report came out and it was no Ayton, no Chris Paul, I went, this may be the last ride here for the Suns. But now if Jamal Murray is out, does that even things up enough to where Phoenix can still get this done? What are you predicting is going to happen tonight?
Yeah, I'm really, obviously we're recording this at about 4:30ish on game day, so we don't know just yet what Jamal Murray's status will ultimately be. If he's out, it evens things up quite a bit more. not that Jamal Murray is the equal of Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, but that's also not how these things work.
Correct.
So I think it is, though, yeah, if you're the Suns, you're not gonna turn your nose up at it, right? You're gonna be like, okay, he's out, that's fine. Like, let's at least try to even things out a little bit with this. But yeah, I just feel like unless Phoenix gets major bumps from their role players like they did in the previous home games, which maybe they will, role players tend to play better at home. I think this is probably over. I think Denver's just proven to be the better team over the last, I don't want to say handful of games because Phoenix did win 2 of them, but I just think when Denver has played their game, they've just been the better team by a decent margin.
Vegas says Phoenix is the 2-point favorite in this one tonight. So maybe that's a sign that they've heard something on Jamal Murray and maybe he isn't a go. We'll see. But nonetheless, yeah, if Jamal Murray plays, I have to think that Denver takes care of business. If he doesn't, maybe that provides an opening here for Phoenix to extend this. But we'll see what ultimately happens there. Keith, I know one of the things we've been keeping a close eye on, it's the All-NBA teams. And specifically for Jalen Brown reasons, he did make second team All-NBA, which then makes him Supermax eligible. Now, I saw some people, you took it from the perspective of the Supermax essentially means he'll probably stay with the Boston Celtics. I saw some people going the other way and saying, are the Celtics going to want to pay him that? And if they do, are they going to be happy with him on that contract? Where you're as tuned in with the Celtics as anybody, where do you think they fall on that situation?
Yeah, you have to give him you give him the offer anyway and put it on him. I'm not 100% sold he's going to take it. There's enough stuff that has happened with Jalen Brown over the years where you kind of wonder, is he fully happy? I'm like 99% sure he'll take it. But, there's that 1% where you always just kind of wonder, would he rather be somewhere else and, be in a different city? One, he's had, we talked about it on this show back in, I think it was around, I think the interviews came out in the last couple months, but I think they were done in January. And he talked about the city of Boston and, some of the issues that the city has. And we don't need to go back over it, but it's not great, right? They have some issues. But I think the other part of it with Jalen Brown is, he's probably going to take it because we all know how this works, right? You take it, and then if you're not happy,
you figure out your location later.
Ask for a trade, right? Because that's just kind of how these things go. So I think they'll offer it. I think he'll sign it. The likelihood that both he and Jason Tatum both stay on the team making $50+ million, probably pretty small unless they start winning titles. Then that changes the math, as we've seen with the Golden State Warriors. But for the most part, yeah, I think there is a chance, he takes it. And then, a couple years down the line here, this goes in a different direction just because it's going to be wildly expensive to have them and maintain a good team around them.
All right, just to go through the list here, we've got first team All-NBA. It's Giannis, Jason Tatum, Joel Embiid, SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka. And then the second team is Jokic, which is, again, that's kind of the positional thing, right?
Yep.
Where Jokic, I mean, talent-wise, we talked about this before early in the season with All-Star and all that. Anyway, Jokic, Donovan Mitchell, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Jalen Brown. And third team, Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox. So you got 2 Sacramento Kings there, Damian Lillard, Julius Randle, and LeBron James. People always overreact. Were there any egregious snubs or anything here that you thought are worth getting upset about?
Yeah, I don't know about get upset about it. It's clear that I don't know that I love the whole 65 games played stuff yet either. I want to see how that kind of comes together and works out. But I have hit a point with the stuff where it is wildly inconsistent because Kevin Durant was really, really good. And it seems like both he and Kawhi Leonard, the voters collectively, for the most part, were like, they didn't play enough. You could even argue the same for Anthony Davis, right? He didn't play enough. But LeBron did. And it's not a criticism of LeBron making it. I just wish there was more consistency, right? Within the way we decide what is enough games played. So that's the challenge. Nobody is on the team, right? I feel like, holy cow. Like
right.
This guy
what is this guy doing here? Right. Yeah.
like that's always a good thing. But
These
yeah,
are
I
all
could
really
have.
good players.
Yeah, I would not have been upset if KD made it over. But who was the third team? LeBron and Randall, right?
LeBron and Randall
So
were the
yeah,
last
I
two.
wouldn't
Yep.
be surprised, upset if KD had made it over Randall, or if AD made it over him, or quite frankly, even if
Mhm.
Kawhi made it over him. I was listening to a show and they're talking about how Julius Randle is now a two-time All NBA player. Do you know Chris Bosh made one All NBA team in his
Mm.
career? Ray Allen made two. Like
Wow.
James Worthy, to bring a Lakers component in, made
Yeah.
two All NBA teams in his entire career. Like,
Timing matters.
so yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, and cracking the forward line in the NBA of the '80s was nearly impossible,
Right.
right? You had so many good players that were basically written in pen in October, and they were going to be there the whole time. So yeah, I think as we get into these things, it's the part that gets me is for the younger players where there is contractual components to this.
Yeah.
That's where it starts to bother me a little bit. But let's just maybe get a little more consistent. I do want to cover a couple other contract things from All
Yeah.
NBA very quickly here. So Jason Tatum, another Celtics player, benefits from being named All NBA. And it's not because it's immediate like it is with Jalen Brown, but with Jason Tatum, he is now next summer, the summer of 2024, he'll be able to sign a new 5-year Supermax extension because he's made All NBA the last 2 years. And if you make it 2 of the previous 3 years, you're good. So he's already completed that. He could not play a minute next season, and he's eligible to sign for the Supermax next summer and add 5 years. I explained it all over on Spot Track. People can look at it. Without getting into guys who they weren't really in the mix to make All NBA teams. Couple other guys to know. John Morant is did not make it, so his contract will stay 5 years, 194 million.
Right.
For him, he could have jumped to that second 30% salary tier and jumped up to 233. And then Domantas Sabonis, he got a nice Sabonis bonus in there. Domantas bonus because he got 1.3 million for making All NBA. But a couple people asked on Twitter and the like, why is he not now eligible for one of these Supermax deals? You can only get the Supermax from the team that drafted you,
Right.
or if the team acquired you while you were on your rookie deal. Sabonis was already into his second deal when the Kings got him from the Pacers, so he's not eligible. He won't extend because it's just not enough money, even with the new extension rules, very likely. So it's more likely he'll play next year at about 22 million or so. That'll play out, and then he'll go into restricted free agency the year after, or unrestricted free agency the year after, rather.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are some beyond just, hey, this player deserves it over this player or whatever, like that kind of debate that you can get into with this kind of stuff. There's some financial incentive here to making these teams and contractual things that could ultimately determine where players land in the future, whether or not they stay with the team or not, or whether they're traded, all that sort of stuff. So I don't know what the alternative is, but from a media perspective, I don't necessarily like being responsible
100%.
with my vote for what's
No
going to
media
happen
member
with a
does.
player's contract.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable with that. Not that I have a vote, but if I did have a vote, I wouldn't feel super comfortable with that aspect of it. Maybe there's a better way to do it, but until then, it looks like it's the way it's going to go.
Yep, that's exactly. Yeah, they've not come up with a better option yet. It's like when people scream, well, this as a former history guy. It's the quote of democracy is not the best system, but we haven't found one that works better yet.
Right. Yep.
Right. Like that's. I think that's one of the very famous quotes that's out there.
All right,
kind of the same thing with this.
Let's finish up here with there's a lot of coaching buzz going on right now with a few spots that are available, but JJ Redick, not a name I was expecting to hear, getting an interview with the Toronto Raptors. Redick has been doing a lot of TV work as well as his podcast. Are you surprised JJ Redick popped up here with the Raptors? Like, this could be kind of the out of the blue, wait, Steve Nash is the coach type thing here. What do you make of this?
It really did surprise me, not out of any thought of JJ Redick not being a good candidate. Just we've never heard it even mentioned that he had an interest in coaching. right? Like there was never like it seemed like he was pretty happy doing his podcast and doing games on ESPN. So I that part did shock me. It was like, wait, really? I had to read that tweet from Woj a couple times to be
Right.
like, and at
Is
first I
this
was like, wait,
real?
is he coming? Like he's like at first I saw Raptors, JJ, right? Because you kind of this is awful for me to admit, but like even something as short as a tweet, I occasionally still like glance through it, but without
Right.
reading it fully, which is really bad to admit my attention span is that low. But I saw Raptors JJ Redick and I was like, wait, is JJ Redick going to play again
He's
next
coming out of
year?
retirement.
What's happening? And then it was like interviewed for coach. So I am not against it. I think JJ Redick, right? He's was always known as a very smart player.
Mm-hmm.
Always, the guy's been around the game his whole life and a million years. The only time I ever heard anything mentioned for him coaching wise was when there was not a clear successor for Coach K. And it was kind of thrown out of like maybe JJ Redick goes back and sits on the bench for a year or two and then he could be Coach K's replacement, but never thought that. But yeah, it's interesting at the least. It doesn't sound like he's gonna get it, but yeah, it's kind of came out of left field, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, this could be the type of thing that pops up now, and then a team or two down the road, suddenly JJ Redick's a coach. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
that does
Yep.
happen, and we talk about it all the time. With, I mean, like Darvin Ham, how many interviews did he have
Sure.
before finally getting the job? Maybe that's the kind of thing, and this is kind of the introduction to JJ Redick being a part of the coaching market.
I hope if he doesn't go that way, we at least get like on his show, like he
An
goes in
explanation
depth,
of the interview.
Yeah, just kind of like what was the process? He doesn't have
Yep.
to like be like these are the exact questions I asked, but just like what was the process like? Because that's not something we ever really get,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that'd be kind of a cool behind the scenes look at things that we haven't had. And he does do a lot of that stuff on his show. You kind of have to almost listen to every show because it's sometimes it's when his co-host Tommy and him will be talking and like it's before they bring on the guest or occasionally after with the guests. So you can't just kind of lock into like, oh, this is a guest I really like and expect to always get that. They're always good. I always really enjoy it. It's on my list of, ones that I listen to very regularly. But, after I listen to Front Office Show a few times,
That's
then,
right.
downloaded on several different accounts. But then, it's just fun. Like his kind of insight into that. I thought he did one with Jason Tatum where they talked about like things Coach K would do and how, right, they were very far apart in the years they played at Duke. And he was like, did he ever do the thing where he took all your uniforms away? And Tatum was like, yeah. And then he had these just Walmart like jerseys he had like purchased in a Walmart bag on the middle of the floor. He's like, you don't deserve to wear the Duke jersey. Put these on. And they were like, like $5 pennies.
You have to earn it.
Yeah, you all have to earn it. Like you don't get to wear the Duke jersey anymore. And Redick's like, he did the same thing to us. So, and I kind of like the idea of seeing Coach K all mad walking into Walmart, like pulling like
give me some jerseys.
Off the rack, and like we do before our kids practice. Like, oh, I need some pennies. Let me go stop by Target or Walmart and pick them up. So I just thought that was funny. So that's the kind of things you get on that show.
Yes, definitely good stuff. Keith, you mentioned downloading the episode. Please do, yes. Everybody out there, download the NBA Front Office Show over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. And of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/NBA Front Office. All right. I think that's going to do it for us today.
I will say, I asked the other day for our fans to help get us up over 200 ratings. You guys are getting us really close. I just looked. We're at 191 on
so
Apple
close.
Podcasts. So we're getting super close. And a bunch of people left, really nice ratings in there, really nice comments. So we really appreciate you also. If you guys can keep pushing, man, where we're getting so close, that's would really be helpful for us. So
yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Till tomorrow, we'll be live again, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Come join us for that. Till then, see ya and stay safe.